I've been getting a little bit of kickback from my belief that my man Fran is a major piece to the puzzle. Some people are saying, we can overcome him. This San Fran game, you're not giving us a chance. And I get all that. We've all waited a long time. We're all kind of pent up and desperate for success. Motions are high. But what I do here is just try to be honest. I'm not here to shill in any way, shape, or form. And trust me, it's very easy. If I do a podcast, I get lots of hits. I could just do a podcast every day and talk about how he floats on water, he flies, and everybody's out to get him, and I could make a lot of views. But I have respect for Tua. I have respect for you guys. I have respect for myself. So I try to be realistic. Now, within that, I could be wrong. I get things wrong. But I also think my track record, if you go over it in the football arena, has been pretty good. And I'm telling you now this. There are lots of reasons to be hopeful. 8-3 gives us leeway up the yin-yang. This San Fran game is like every game in a 17-game schedule now. It's critical. But when you've gotten to a point of 8-3 at this stage, you have leeway. This is a game that's playing with house money. Now, because Fran is absolutely critical. Totally critical. But we heard good news. It's not a tear. He'll be back sooner rather than later. And knowing my man Fran, it's going to be a lot sooner than later. And I'll get into the Charger game that I did on my last podcast for about the Fins, how critical it is and how valuable he is to return to that one. But going over what they're doing this year, he's actually not as critical as I originally thought in that particular game, if Bosa doesn't return, that is. But as far as this game goes, Fran's not coming back. There's, podcast, he's coming back. No. McDaniel's he's a general. He's got to talk things up to keep the momentum going, to keep things positive, to deal with the media. Maybe he does return. I hope he doesn't. Because this is a game we can lose, and it has minimal repercussions. There's 3 or 4 games coming up that are critical for us to win. I think Fran should get an extra week and a half of rest, come back for that critical Charger game. Let's take that one, and then everything is open to us. So I don't want to see him come back here, because if he does, the chances of him injuring it further and knocking him out of these critical games rises. So I know there's the talk. I didn't even want to do a podcast on it because it's just low-hanging fruit to grab onto the hope for people. The hope really should be in where we're at and this Charger game coming up. We can win this one. I'm not saying what I'm saying to say we can't win it. We can win it. If Jimmy G does a Jimmy G thing and fumbles and throws some picks, we could pull it out. But it's going to take something like that. And I'm going to go over the matchups that really is going to define this game. And when I do, it's going to be clear. I'm not being negative. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic. Okay? So just relax for this game. The only thing that matters is we come out healthy. That's it. Win or lose. The media is going to build it up to be this. He's going to build up to be that. And you know what? It's a lot of nothing. Because we can come right back against the Chargers, take the Chargers, and we're in the driver's seat in a big, big way. So I want to say thank you for coming by. As usual, you guys and my sponsors, Ace Per Head, both make this channel happen, and I am thankful. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. San Fran is not the greatest pressure team in the universe, but they're pretty good. and Bosa is very good. And with Tehran, as we all understand, I explained many times, he would go one-on-one with Bosa, whoever's on the edge, and then all the help would flow. And there's a lot of things you could do off that. But he's not going to be there, barring some strange, amazing miracle. And so we got to look at these matchups. We're a passing team. We are the most potent passing team in the NFL. Waddle, Hill, and Tua is just, it's brutal. But that's our go juice. And if that kind of gets stripped away and we're forced to run the football, it makes things a little bit difficult. Now, on a positive note, Robert Jones, Connor, and Hunt inside are good run blockers. And San Fran, they stopped the run, but their interior deal tackles aren't great run stoppers. And there is opportunities there for the inside zone. Now, the edges, they're good linebackers, safeties, and all that other stuff. It's not going to be like going against the Bears or whatever, or the Browns. But we can make hay through this. But we're going to have to pass. So I'm going to give you Shell and Little because Jackson's out again. And it's going to be Little manning it. I'm going to show you the top pass rushers and the San Francisco defense. And you're going to see the clear matchups. Now, maybe McDaniel can scheme things up, and maybe it's not as important as I'm making it out to be. We'll see. This is my evaluation. This is the evaluation that most major football guys have. And it's not to say, oh, I'm so smart. It's just basic. It's like, 1 + 1. But Hill and Waddle and Tua have kind of changed things because we had a different build this year, and we're 8-3. So maybe this build, because of the exceptional pieces, can alter this tried and true formula. That's what we're going to see. That's going to be the most critical thing we could see against San Fran, other than Jimmy G screwing up and us winning and Tua staying healthy. All right? So let me show you who we have as blockers, and that would be Shell, who has given up the second most pressures on our team with 21, 16 hurries, 5 hits, and 0 sacks. We saw him on the right side, and he can play pretty well when Tehran is there. I think he's got to play on the right side, and you got to put Little on the left side. You want Shell to be as comfortable as possible so you can get the most out of him and send your help to Little. But unfortunately, Little is a disaster. Shell's a good run blocker. He's around the 6th or 7th best run blocker on the team. Most efficient, Probably the 3rd, 4th best, 5th best run blocker. So Little has played 6 games starting and then 2 spurts. He's given up the most pressures, 27. That's a ton. It's an insane amount. 17 hurries, 6 hits, 4 sacks. Now, his win rate is 93, which that sounds great, but it's really actually low. So he's played 32 snaps. So he's giving, every 10 snaps, he's just about giving up a pressure. That is absolutely atrocious. And what makes it worse, if we had Jackson, it would be a lot better, as crazy as that sounds. Because Little is this bad at pass blocking, and he's the worst run blocker with a 44.8 run blocking PFF grade. I just use a PFF grade because it's the most expedient way to get it. He's terrible at everything. And you have to ask yourself, why is he even on this team? I mean, there's people on this camera that might go out there and do okay. It's almost okay as Little. I'm exaggerating, but not so much. Why is he even on this team? But he's going to start, most likely, unless Tehran makes a miracle comeback and Jackson somehow recovers from the ankle injury that was re-aggravated from the old ankle injury. So that's what you got. Now, facing these two is going to be Bosa, 55 pressures, 11 sacks, 17 hits, 27 hurries, and a mind-blowing win rate of 24 point. Almost 1 out of every 4 pass rushes, he wins. And 1 out of 10, Little loses. That is an amalgamation of disaster, guys. And I mean, I just don't understand, if you're being intellectually honest, how this can't be like a red flashing. It's not average. It's not really good Bosa going against average. It's really good Bosa going against the worst tackle in the league. So then you got a Menihu. I'm butchering his name. He's got 39 pressures, 4 sacks, 8 hits, 27 hurries, and he has a win rate of 22.8. So that's what you're getting on both sides. And I showed in the past how Shell has some issues with agility and speed plays. He's really good against power, big guys. You give me a 6'3", 290-pound D end, I ain't worried. You give me the 6'4", 260-pound guy, I'm very worried. So they can bring pressure on either side. And I do think Shell will be able to do some stuff, but it's going to take extra Band-Aids to help out Little. Now, you got Ibukam. He's got 26 pressures. He's the 3rd best pass rusher. 3 sacks, 4 hits, 19 hurries, win rate of 15.4. Pretty good. And that's second tier for this team. And they don't blitz a lot. They're the 20th, 20th most, or, I guess that'd be 12th least blitzing defense. But Fred Warner is so good. We were going for him, and then somehow San Fran sniffed it out and took him ahead of us, and we got Baker. And Baker could do stuff for you. You saw he helped us win that game last week. But Warner is probably the best in the league at what he does, which is pretty much everything. So he covers the middle, and it's going to make it a little tighter, harder and tighter for Tua to get those, between the hash plays that he loves to get. And he would still be able to get them with time. But he's going to make it a little harder. He's going to slow down the clock to make Tua wait just a little bit longer for that pass pressure to get there. But he also can blitz. He doesn't blitz a lot. He's got 11 pressures, 2 sacks, 3 hits, 6 hurries, but a win rate of 23.2. So when he does blitz, he wins 1 out of every 4. And this is a concern of mine because Hunt is excellent, but he still loses a little bit when it comes to swap switches and delayed blitzes. And so does Jones. I didn't put the play in here, but you could see last week he was looking to his left to help Little, or is it Shell, and he looked too long because he's thinking, do I have to help him? And as he did, the guy came around the other side. And it's going to be hard for Jones when he's dealing with 4, all of a sudden Warner comes, or another blitzer. And so these are my concerns, why I think the pressure is getting in there. And, some good points for the Dolphins. There's some good stuff within the numbers and with what we're seeing in matchups that possibly might give us hope. Now, as I said, they're the least, they blitz the least, 20th least, 22.3%. So they're mostly sitting in their zones. They play a lot of over zones. They let you catch the ball and then hit you. And that's going to kind of suck because Waddle and Hill are smaller guys. They have the 11th least most missed tackles, so they're not missing stuff. They're making it, and they hit hard, man. You got to watch them. Now, they've got the 12th most pressures, so they're good, but not great. They got 100 pressures, 12th most, so not even top 10. But the bad side, there's good and bad side to that. The bad side is they're 8th in sacks and then 12th in knockdowns. So within that, they're getting to the cornerback and putting the wood on him. And they're getting the sacks. But there's also a little bit inefficiency in their pass rush. And that is their 19th least or most in hurries. So they're 12th in their blitzes, and they're 20th in their blitzes. They're 12th in their pressures, but 19th in the hurries. So there's a space where they get to you and they hit you and they hurt you, but then there's also times where they're just not getting there quick enough. And that leaves the opportunity for Tua to use his quick release to hit Waddle and Hill for them to make something happen. Now, I know they're really good at yak, but Hill and Waddle are exceptionally fast, and it could take one, two of these big plays to make the game change, especially if Jimmy G is doing the pick and the turnover thing. This is where the defense will play in, but we're going to have to be patient. This is going to have to be a style of game that we saw against the Patriots, against the Bills, where this is going to go on. It's a 12-round or the old days 15-round fight. Can we be patient enough? Can Tua be smart enough to get rid of that football? He can't stay in there to try to deliver the football. If we lose this one, we lose this one. He's critical to everything. He's got to stay healthy. This will be a nice test to see how much he's learned about long-term versus short-term. He's got to understand his health is paramount. But then he might have to stay in there just a little bit. It's going to be very interesting watch in this regard. But there's going to be a little bit of space unless Little and Shell, wherever they're going to be playing, folds like a cheap lawn chair. Too quick, too often. Or, on the positive note, if Teron comes back or if Jackson can come in. So that's where we're at. This is just a very bad matchup. But it's house money. House money. I got to call it the way I see it. I don't see it where we can't win. Of course, any team can win. Any team can beat anyone. But am I going to bet $1,000 on it? Am I going to bet the house on it? Am I going to bet my children on it? No. Clearly, Teron is as critical as Hill, Waddle, and Tua on this offense. And he sets the table. He's not there. If Tua was out, everyone would be saying, oh, Tua's out, or Hill. But you've been conditioned by poor media that only the skills matter. Because the skills have flashy videos, and flashy videos sell. So you've been taught over and over and over again, this is the most critical part. Watching some guy block some dude is not highlight film for most people. And so it gets put into the corner. But the reality is, in my evaluation and in most core understandings of football, it is the most critical. Again, this will be a very interesting test of that theory and see what happens. But next week, the Chargers, they're 30th in pressures, and it doesn't look like Bosa's going to be back. If Teron shows up, the chances of us winning that game is very, very good. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I really like our chances. And even if he doesn't, with this level of pass rush, we might be able to still have the advantage because of the style of play we have. So, plenty of hope, but I'm not going to sell you swampland in Florida or the Brooklyn Bridge because it gets me clicks. You can call me whatever you want, but don't call me dishonest. And this is not a pleasing matchup. If we win, we win. But anybody says that this is not nerve-wracking this week with Teron gone, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for staying there, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you see the hope and the concern. Catch you next time. Be well. Get back fast, my man, Teron, and go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with AceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.